On today's CHGO White Sox show, we'll talk about the new director of hitting for the White Sox, and we'll go through a free agent showdown of shortstops to see who will be playing, not even the hot corner, because it's the position next to it in 2025 for the Sox, and more here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox podcast, coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the west of Chicago. I'm your host, your captain, if you will, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox podcast. I guess it won't make sense for people listening to the podcast part. I'm wearing a boat captain's hat.
It's true. He's like Captain Stupid.
Ooh.
Exactly.
Man on the left, far left, is Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber and read his work up at allchgo.com. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at EctorWall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We're being produced today by our pal Sarah.
Hi.
Hello, and make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. What's up to Victor in the chat? Hit that subscribe button. We do have some White Sox news today. The GM meetings started down in San Antonio today. Daryl Van Schouwen and Lamont Pope are down in San Antonio. And Chris Getz talking to Daryl and Lamont, saying that Ryan Fuller is now the White Sox director of hitting. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. There were murmurs and rumors, but now Chris Getz.
They were murmurs.
There were murmurs. we were a lot of murmuring around the CHGO White Sox offices between the three of us. And now Chris Getz confirming the rumors as the White Sox have their own director of hitting. Finally, we've wanted a counterpart to Brian Bannister, and the White Sox fans finally got that.
Listen, Chris Getz talked, I think multiple times he was asked about it before, before the season ended. You know, is it possible to have the Brian Bannister of hitting? And he said that they were going to kind of explore whether that was possible or not, that they were obviously going to spend a lot of time this offseason or the early stages of this offseason working on trying to find how they could revamp that hitting. I guess you can call it a department now, but I think they didn't know if it was going to be just one guy. Maybe it was going to have to be processes that they would put in place. Maybe they'd bring in multiple people to kind of execute a top-down strategy or something like that. But we find out today that indeed it is going to be one guy, and there is going to be a Brian Bannister style position that they're going to try to use to fix the offense, to really oversee the offense. And the thing that I think is the most interesting about this, as we have talked about Brian Bannister a lot over the last year, is how many parts of the organization he seems to have his hands in. And you know, you hear he's the head of pitching. You think maybe that he is this glorified pitching coach. And certainly there are pitching coach things that he does, right? He's in uniform at spring training, working with the guys while they're doing, side sessions, while they're throwing bullpens in the early stages of spring training. He's there talking about, pitch shape and all that pitching sciencey stuff that goes on into it. But we heard his name brought up a lot at the draft and how he was talking about not just Hagen Smith as that number one overall pick that they made, but the guys in the lower rounds as well, that he was involved in that. We heard just recently that, his name pop up when it came to some of the candidates for the managerial position that Chris Getz was talking to for that job. So I think that this is a guy in Bannister who is a big part of that front office, who has been talked about a lot when it comes to player acquisition, right? Identifying guys like, I think this year probably the best example would be Chris Flexen, right? A guy who maybe is not highly valued by the market, but they can bring in and do something with. That was probably that Bannister style acquisition. And now there's another guy in that front office on the hitting side of things. And is Ryan Fuller going to play a similar role when it comes to not just coaching up big league players and minor league players? We heard Bannister was going down to the affiliated teams in the minor leagues, right? Is Ryan Fuller going to be like, that's the kind of offensive skill set that we can see in a high school kid or a college kid. Let's make sure we draft him and bring him into the organization. Is he going to be, have Chris Getz's ear when it comes to what kind of free agents or other acquisitions they can make when it comes to maybe midseason trades, that kind of thing? Is he going to be involved in personnel decisions when it comes to who are going to be the hitting coaches throughout the minor leagues, who are going to be, the coordinators that go around and talk to these guys throughout the entire organization, not just at the major league level. So I think it's very interesting that this is a young guy who's coming over from an organization that's had some player development success, or at least some great success in acquiring talent, right, at the minor league level. And certainly they've made the playoffs the last couple of seasons, so there's been some success there at the major league level as well. But when you think about this job, it is not about, okay, this guy's going to fix the 9 guys in the major league lineup and they're going to be so much better at hitting next year. No, this is a long-term move that you make to establish a philosophy throughout the organization and a way of approaching things in all areas of the organization, in all areas of bringing players in, bringing players up, and then making sure that they have success at the major league level. This is a move made for the next time the White Sox are going to be a contender. I don't know how many years that is from now, but that's what this move has been made for. So don't think of this as another hitting coach that's going to, turn Benintendi around next year, are going to turn, specifically make Brian Ramos great at the major league level, although I'm sure he'll have some thoughts on that as well. This is a move made organization-wide and for years down the road.
Just my initial thought on the signing, reported signing, and Chris Getz has confirmed it, just another good thing that Chris Getz has done. And the one thing that I wanted Chris Getz to do was to search out from organizations that you like their development. You like what they do on the major league level. We just got a manager from the Texas Rangers who had been with the Boston Red Sox, who had been with the Cubs. Like Will Venable, that excited me, and it still does excite me. Now you're getting a guy young and Ryan Fuller who comes from the Orioles, and I get it. People are like, oh, yeah, to be the co-hitting coach of the Orioles, that's an easy job. You already got good talent there. But as we saw with Adley Rutschman in the second half, it falls off after every once in a while. So, yes, they had good talent, but I think that if you ask the White Sox, would you like to follow the path of where the Orioles went, where they lost 100 games multiple years in a row, like 3 years in a row? Yeah. Unlike the Orioles, they won't have the number 1 pick like the Orioles those couple of years that they did. But you have a young teacher in Ryan Fuller. The stuff that I've read about him are very encouraging. He is a process over results guy, as the White Sox should be. And as Vinnie just said, this is going to be years in the making, but it's going to be a thing where it's ingrained. This is what the White Sox do. New guys come in. This is what you do. If you're not on board with it, as we're discussing before the show, most of these players on the current 40-man, especially hitters, probably won't be here in 2 to 3 years. And so Ryan Fuller's will try to establish a White Sox way of hitting, just like Brian Bannister. During his year that he's been with the White Sox, I don't think any White Sox fan hasn't been impressed by what Brian Bannister has done. And I hope Ryan Fuller, in his time that he's there with the White Sox, can do same or better than what Brian Bannister has. I just love what Chris Getz is doing this offseason. He seems like he understands the assignment, and he's getting players and getting managers and now getting coaches that fit the bill of the future of the White Sox.
Real quick, I don't know if you caught it. I caught it. Herb said, reportedly, and Chris Getz is confirmed. So do you see what you've done to us? We're making sure that every time there's a report, we make sure that it's reported, even though the GM has now said it's official.
But the ink hasn't dried, though, right?
The GM said it.
If the ink hasn't dried, it's Chris Getz's fault for running his big mouth.
Come on, Chris. Talking before turn.
No, I think he's the one who knows.
I think Chris is confirming it. I think usually the whole
what's
point.
his source?
Chris Getz. Fuller went to the University of Connecticut at Avery Point's campus, and played for their baseball team in 2009 and 2010. Then he transferred to the main campus and played his final 2 college baseball with the real Connecticut Huskies.
Up in Stores.
Stores.
Yeah.
Stores, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
No better place. There definitely is.
For basketball.
And then he spent 1 year in the Diamondbacks organization. And then the cool part, and this was from Travis Sawchek that I first originally learned this from. He writes over for The Score. The Score, but not that one. And he wrote MVP Machine about the Astros climb to their point of prominence of cheating. He wrote the MVP Machine on how Mike Elias turned around the Astros. So the fact that he's now writing about Mike Elias turning around the Orioles makes sense why he has these connections. But what he pointed out was that Fuller from 13 to 19 was an English teacher for Haddam Killingworth High School. I don't know where that is. I'm guessing somewhere in Connecticut. But then in 19, he was hired by the Orioles as their minor league hitting coach. 2021, he was the hitting coach for the AA Bowie Bay Sox. And then following that, he was the major league hitting coach from 2022 to 2024. And again, you bring up Adley and Gunnar. That was their hitting coach down in the minor leagues. And to get them to the point that they were hitting bombs at the major league level, they went through Ryan Fuller, and this great Score article talks about how Mike Elias and assistant Sig Mijdal took over the Orioles front office in 2019 and hired a number of non-traditional coaches who were excellent teachers. The belief is that natural teachers are better at getting buy-in on new concepts. The effort helped the Astros players development system transform from a lagging one into an industry model. Elias and Mijdal came from Baltimore to Houston beforehand. And the biggest thing, too, is there was a book club started down at the, what's it called? Taxi camp.
That's what the English teacher is going to do.
Of course it is. And they were reading a book on success. It's The Mindset, the Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. And they had all of these guys at this alternate site in Bowie, Maryland, reading this book. And it was a voluntary book club that they would read a chapter of and then meet periodically through Zoom. And he was able to connect with Rutschman and Gunnar, and he was able to get them into this mindset. And it was always just very surprising how Gunnar, being as young as he was and being like a fringe first rounder, second round compensatory pick, like was able to step in and just hit and produce like he did. The thing that I've seen from Fuller is it's kind of like Clear Hearts Can't Mind, or Clear Heart. What is it from Friday Night Lights?
Clear hearts, full mind. No,
I believe your eyes
like
are clear and your hearts are full.
Something like that, guys.
Memory serves.
Something's full, and Ryan Fuller knows how to get that to work. But one clip that I saw from at least this year was, like we talk about having a great at bat, and a great at bat is just knowing you're in a great at bat rather than looking up at the scoreboard and kind of questioning yourself. I think we saw that with Luis Robert Jr. Like he would get down 0-1, and then it's just about like not missing that fastball and going up there with confidence. I think the whole idea of Fuller is we've done the preparation already. You just have to be comfortable up there at the plate. There's obviously an emphasis on walking. There's an emphasis on lifting the ball, but at least managing players throughout that season, the 162-game season, it seems like the emphasis is just we've already done the work. There's nothing that you can do in the moment besides be present at the plate.
Yeah, and I think that their story in there, they're talking about the growth mindset and the Rubik's Cube story where they're like, oh, man, that looks hard. That looks really hard. I'm not going to be able to do that. And then one of the guys got into the growth mindset where you're just, challenging yourself. It's difficult, but you as a human being want that challenge. And some people want that challenge. While you're going through it, you struggle, and it's hard, and it's tough to get it. But once you get it, you're like, oh my God, I can do hard things. I can do tough things. And that's what the White Sox situation is going to be, where you have a bunch of broken down players who went through 121 losses. And if Ryan Fuller can come in here and say, guys, you think you can't learn anymore. You're in the fixed mindset. What you can do is learn exactly how we need to do baseball in the future. And yes, it's going to be a grind. It's going to suck. Some of you guys are not going to want to do it. But what we need to have is that growth mindset, what you were talking about with Professor Dweck and her article. It's a very, very illuminating story. And I watched her TED Talk, and I was like, man, if you can learn from every day from that lady, it'll be great, because I probably are in a fixed mindset where I'm 45, going to be 46 tomorrow. I'm thinking, I'm an old dog. You can't teach me new tricks. But I'm sure that, if we should do that, we should definitely get 3 Rubik's Cubes here and learn the growth mindset and go through how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I think it would open up our minds. And I think that would be helpful for the White Sox too. Not even the Rubik's Cube thing, just to adhere to more of a growth mindset than a fixed mindset, which we talk about how hitting coaches really can't help a Major League Baseball player at the major leagues, usually because they're just so, hey, I got here already. I got my hitting coach. You can't help me, type of stuff. And open your mind to different things that work for different players, especially the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, and the two, before we hit the break here, I think it was either someone that the White Sox just hired or someone recently with the talk about the outside camps, like Tread Athletics, like going to somewhere else to get better, going to your hitting coach like Luis Robert Jr. Like the whole point of an organization is to trust, and that organization should know you the best and should be able to help you. And you kind of lose that trust with players if they have to go outside to get that help. So hopefully Fuller can be a part of just helping the White Sox players while they're still in the organization, and them not, going to the offseason questioning, hey, how do I get better? Let's take a break. We got a lot of questions to answer and some news too from Max L in the chat. So let's take a break. We want to let you know about our friends over at Game Time. What's better than the hype and atmosphere of a basketball game? I remember the first time I went to a basketball game. The smell of popcorn still sticks with me. I don't know why. Nothing about popcorn. I don't like popcorn.
Did you get it dumped on you by Benny the Bull?
No, it wasn't even like I'm thinking of a high school basketball game. I remember my first NBA basketball game. It was to see Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki as on the Dallas Mavericks take on the Bulls. I think the Mavericks won. I was a Mavericks fan when I was little. Do you remember your first NBA game?
Yes. Preseason while Jordan was still here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Bulls win!
In the preseason.
Hey, that counts.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I didn't see Michael Jordan play. No, I don't remember my first NBA game. I didn't go to a lot of them.
Well, Herb, you can make that memory now. You can go to a Bulls game, not tomorrow, on Thursday.
I am going to go on
7th.
Thursday.
Oh, you are?
Literally, I am.
Well, there you go. There's your first NBA game. If you don't want to miss out on the hype and atmosphere of watching basketball, hockey, or football live, go check out our friends over at Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. The best part is you can get views of your prices that are all-inclusive, and you can get tickets up to the last minute with Game Time. If you want to just whittle down the clock and just wait and wait and wait until you get the best possible price, Game Time is the place to do it. And again, with Game Time Picks, curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. And you also have the lowest price guarantee, which Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less on a different site. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time!
Woo. Somebody turned off the summer outside. It's rainy. It's windy. It's a little chilly. But you can always flip summer right back on by grabbing a summer shandy. It's available year-round from Line & Kugels. So whether it's chilly and you're braving the deck to go out and grill something up, like you want to remember what summer was like, so you go turn the grill on, have a shandy along with it, and you can have summer right back at you. If you're going down lakeside picnic, all the leaves are falling off the trees, but you open a summer shandy, it'll feel like summer all over again. You don't have to give up all those summertime activities because you can have a summer shandy right along with them. But of course, maybe you like the cooler weather. Maybe you like a little variety. Maybe you want to have yourself an Oktoberfest. Ooh, warm yourself up in the fall. Winter's coming around. Maybe you want to have a nice honey vice or a berry vice. Any number of vices that go good in the wintertime. Sunset Wheat, Lakeside Cherry, Liney's Original, whatever you like. Liney's has something that's good for you because it's all very, very tasty. So go ahead and flavor every moment with Line & Kugels. It is the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Liney.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO, or pick up Line & Kugels pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Line & Kugels, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Line & Kugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes. All right, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We have a Bull Show coming up here at 5:30. Tim Legler is going to be on with Matt and Big Dave, so it should be a good time. And then it's a fairly quiet day in the sporting world. There's some election going on. I don't know much about that. But then tomorrow we got some Bulls action. We got pre and post tomorrow. So make sure you're sticking tuned to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And earlier today, there was a Bear show on the trade deadline. So we got a ton of content, Chicago sports-wise, here on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Appreciate Max L in the chat saying Rangers just hired Skip as the senior advisor. Also, he's fair to point out that the Marlins haven't made a managerial decision yet.
He's referring to Skip Schumacher for the uninitiated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just hired Skip Schumacher as a senior advisor. I have more from Evan Grant from just a second on that. But let's go to Wolf Larson's super chat. Thank you, Wolf Larson, for the $5 super chat. Is there a hitter or two that Fuller might unlock that is currently on the roster but struggled the last few seasons? If we look at the thumbnail, I think it's very easy to say the one guy that he has to unlock, and here's the what's it called? The cliffhanger, the asterisk, if he's still here, is Luis Robert Jr. How do you get him back to 35 homers, playing 120-plus games?
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I was saying earlier, this is a hire that is made for the future, the long-term future. If you're expecting a new director of hitting to come in and make things all better for 2025 from a team that lost 121 games, it's not going to happen, obviously, and it's kind of, I don't want to say pointless, but like most of the players who are going to be in the White Sox lineup next year are not going to be on the next contending White Sox team. The important guys who Ryan Fuller is going to need to work with and bring along are guys who are going to be here. Maybe like a Brian Ramos, maybe a Miguel Vargas, right? Who obviously was very unimpressive in his couple months as a White Sox after being acquired in that trade deadline deal last summer. And then guys who aren't even here yet, because when you're the organization's director of hitting, you've got responsibilities in the minor leagues as well. So Coulson Montgomery obviously is one you would like to circle with a big red pen as somebody who is going to be very important for Fuller and the team to get right. When it does come to Luis Robert Jr., though, certainly you're going to want him to be as good as he can be if you're Chris Getz, whether that means because obviously you want the team to be better, but because that might be a way for you to bring even more talent into the organization in a deadline trade or a trade next offseason, something like that. If you can be responsible for a Luis Robert Jr. rebound from what was a pretty woeful season from him in 2024, you could be setting your organization up well, even if you're maybe not going to be banking on that player the next time you're trying to contend for a championship. So, again, long-term, don't look for those immediate results in guys, because I don't think many of us, if any of us, are expecting this offense to be dramatically better next year, right? I do think, though, that you are going to start to see more and more guys come up from the minor leagues and join this roster who are supposed to be a part of the future. There are a couple of them here right now, but most of them are on the way still. Those are the ones that they need to get right because the time is going to come, not soon, but eventually, when those guys are going to need to produce for a team that has eyes on making the playoffs.
You know, the player that I've been looking up and seeing that, you know, Luis Robert Jr., of course, is the number one player that Fuller needs to work with to get him back to being himself. But we talk about Ryan O'Hearn out there in Baltimore. He was in Kansas City, was a below-average hitter, couldn't get on first base to save his life. I think he was like his OPS plus during his last year in Kansas City when he was 28 years old, a 73. He sounds like a guy like Gavin Sheets. Like, Ryan O'Hearn came over from the Kansas City Royals to the Baltimore Orioles in 2023 and immediately had a 122 OPS plus. Same thing in 2024. I think Gavin Sheets has more raw power and talent than Ryan O'Hearn does. So one of the things I read about Mr. Fuller is swing decisions. Like, he's very good.
You're older than him. You don't have to call him Mr. Fuller.
Ryan Fuller. One of the things I read about him is the swing decisions. Like, hey, Gavin, stop swinging at that ball that is above your head, above the strike zone. Yes, you can pop a couple of those outside the park, but more than likely, you're going to pop that ball straight up and down, because there's a story in there, him working with Adley Rutschman, who had like an 18% pop-up rate in the infield one year in minor leagues, and then he worked with Ryan Fuller, and he only, in the 81 games after that, or 81 at bats after that, he had 0 of those. And then the next year, I think he only had an 8% fly ball rate or pop-up rate in the major league. So that's a guy that worked with a person named Ryan O'Hearn, who we as White Sox fans saw him as a Royal and like, that's nothing. When he went over to Baltimore, they worked with him, and he became not only a serviceable hitter, but above average hitter.
Yeah, and the one thing, too, that I always look at is Robert Orr's stat. Seager, it shows
Bobby Orr?
Not that Bobby Orr. His literal handle is not that Bobby Orr. So there you go. You're dead on. Is the Seager stat, which shows how well a player or team makes the decision to swing at a ball inside the zone rather than outside of the zone. So are you swinging at strikes more than balls? The best team at the Seager stat in this year, can you guys guess? At 16.2?
Baltimore.
Would it be the team with Seager on it?
No. Well, no. Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay.
One man can only do something.
Padres.
No.
Dodgers.
There you go. Don't think too hard about it. It's the team that won the damn World Series. Can you guess who had the worst number?
The White Sox.
The White Sox. There you go. My smart coworkers. 10.7 for the White Sox. So just increasing that entire team's decision on what's a ball, what's a strike, just avoiding that killer strikeout at the end of the inning, and being able to put some wood on it at all would be helpful for this White Sox team. Even then, you compare him to O'Hearn. I just think about Anthony Santander. I didn't even think or realize this, but in Santander's first 1,047 plate appearances, 2.8 WAR, a 97 OPS plus. That was from 22 to 26. And then from 27 to
his age.
Yeah. Then from 27 to 29, 2022 to 2024, a 125 OPS plus, really just became a player that started walking more, was able to put a lot more power into his swings. 8.3 WAR over the last 1,968 plate appearances. Maybe he's just a guy that finally gets a look and enough playing time where he's able to develop. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Gavin could be a fine first baseman. It's just really the issue is they're trying him in right field. They're trying him in left field. Like, what can Gavin Sheets do as a first baseman? I think that might be the biggest commitment. And if he's able to get that hitting help, I think he could be a player that pops.
Yeah, I mean, they were the same age. Like, Ryan O'Hearn came over to Baltimore when he was 29, and Gavin Sheets will be 29 next year. So they have similar profiles. So if you can get Gavin Sheets, Ryan O'Hearn might be an outlier. So if you get him just above average, which I think he was a 90 OPS plus last year, get him to 100. I think not ideal for a first baseman, but improvement from where he has been. And you're going to keep one of them, if not both of him and Andrew Vaughn. So if you can get a director of hitting to get the players who you already have on the team just slightly better, you're cooking with gas there, because more than likely Gavin Sheets will be gone after like 3-4 years from here.
Yeah. Do you know, funny enough, who the best White Sox hitter in Seager was?
Gavin Sheets?
And making decision. No. Gavin Sheets, not even in the top 10.
Andrew Benintendi.
No, Benintendi was pretty bad.
I'm going to go with
I'm not going to give
Nicky Lopez.
Benintendi stuff. No, it was Eloy Jimenez.
Wow.
Eloy Jimenez's issue is he just hits it right into the dirt. So maybe they could try to fix him again. And Miguel Vargas, 19.8, just a little bit behind.
Whose job was it to try to
Jimenez.
fix Eloy Jimenez over the last 2 months of last season?
Ryan Fuller.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And what did he not do? Fix Eloy Jimenez.
But you also, I know what you're saying,
these
but
are guys that grow
that was
up.
a joke.
Yeah, right. These are guys that grow up in the Orioles system. Even with O'Hearn, he likely got an offseason to make those adjustments. And two, hey, we heard so much about Luis Robert Jr. wanting to swing more at strikes and not balls. Luis Robert Jr. is fourth on this list behind Jimenez, Vargas, and Vaughn. And a 14 number is pretty good for a single player. It's just they're missing bats. So Sheets was fairly bad at picking what's pitches to hit at. So that's a player that could likely benefit from just being a little bit more selective and making sure that he's swinging at those pitches that he can do something with. So maybe there's something there with Sheets to fix. And the other one that I'm at least interested in is Lenine Sosa. We saw a little bit of life from Lenine there at the end of the year. Can Fuller at least build off of what Lenine just did? But
gotta help. I mean,
anything would help.
Yeah, I mean, if this guy helps incrementally, the White Sox will win more games.
I'm just saying too, though. Look beyond that roster, because I know it's easy to focus saying, "Oh, they're getting a hitting coach, make them hit better," kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But look beyond. Look to the guys that they're going to acquire, even if it's low level, free agents that they bring in this winter. Ryan Fuller is going to have some say in that. Look at the draft next year. If their first round draft pick is a position player, Ryan Fuller is going to have some say into who they take throughout the minor leagues. This goes well beyond those 26 men on the roster next year, and I think that's the importance of this hire.
Yeah, I mean, we got to take a break here, but I mean, it goes to George Wolko. I mean, can they make sure that he's not striking out at a 40% rate? Same with Coulson Montgomery. Can he catch up to some of that speed? And we talk about him being a Corey Seager type player. Can he get his own stat named after him? Where's the Coulson stat? There's a ton of players. That
Jacob Gonzalez.
Yeah, right.
Was a first round draft pick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they had to change his swing too.
Look at the last two hires the White Sox have made. A guy from Texas with Corey Seager, a guy from Baltimore with Gunnar Henderson. So I'm sure they're trying to, hey, Coulson, you're important. Like, we need you to be either one of those guys, a fraction of one of those guys. That'd be great.
I don't know how much Will Venable is going to turn Coulson Montgomery into Corey Seager, but I hope.
Hey, and I'll get to the.
Let's take a break.
We got a break.
We got a break. And you know what we hope? We hope that businesses out there are going to ComEd.com/biz.
Yes, we do, Sean. ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient, Vinny.
Oh, Herb, you're absolutely right. And I thought Sean was the other reader there, so I just X'd out of it. But it's okay. I got it right here. I didn't know that ComEd did that, Herb.
Yep. The Energy Efficiency Program can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
Wow. What does a business have to do?
Just sign up for a free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
That seems so easy. Why aren't more businesses doing it?
I guess they forgot the website or something.
I can make sure they remember it. ComEd.com/biz, 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 ComEd.com/biz.
I'll do it. Thank you, Vinny.
What was it again?
ComEd.com/biz.
Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded with compliance with state law. What's the website again?
ComEd.com/biz.
I didn't know that.
We also want to let you know about our friends over at Rugged Road. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear. We have a cool cooler back there from Rugged Road. For adventurers who demand the best, our products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. And the coolest part about Rugged Road's coolers is the floatability and lightweight design. One of the most unique features of Rugged Road's coolers is their ability to float upright, so you'll never lose a drink. And their lightweight design is unlike any other cooler. Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. And it's funny, I remember when we noticed the sample was there, Vinny went and picked it up, and he noticed how incredibly light it was. And he naturally said how light it was. So
even I could lift it.
You're a consumer just like Vinny.
And I've got one of those flexes like a cartoon character like Goofy where you flex and then it hangs down here like this.
That's me too. That's my type of man. And then you got durability and dependability. It's crafted to handle the toughest environments. Their coolers are built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure. The coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool up to 7 days, but oftentimes much longer than that. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. They're reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion, and head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code CHGN. Oh, no, not CHGN. Who the hell is that? CHGO for 10% off over at ruggedroadoutdoors.com. All right, I got some more stats on Ryan Fuller, and then we can wrap this up and get into some free agent showdown. This is, again, from Travis Sawchik. The Orioles walk rate, and this is from July 17th, 2021, the Orioles walk rate is up an astounding 42%. So the walk rate from the minor league walk rate for the top four levels from each organization in 2021, the differences between 2021 and 2019 when Fuller was established. The difference was a 42.1% change for the Orioles. Yankees were second at 38.2%, and the Twins were at 32.9%. The Marlins and Mariners were the other team with a 30% change. And, of course, who is near the bottom? The Angels are the worst at a negative 9.2% change. The Guardians at a 0% change. The Diamondbacks at a 0.75% change. And the White Sox, a 1.8% change. And then that was also the
Progress.
year two from 2021. We know from 2022, 2023, and 2024, that walk rate fell off, at least at the major league level for the White Sox. So the biggest thing is, can this team have good at-bats? Can this team walk? can this team have an at-bat that's like 7 to 8 pitches? I feel like it's very much like within the first 5 outs or first 5 pitches, you know where a White Sox at-bat is going to go. And then can they avoid driving the ball into the ground?
There were so many innings last year that I would look up. I'd say, man, Blinken, you would have missed that one because, 1, 2, 3 innings and quick, like you mentioned. So, absolutely, that's been something that's been missing from the White Sox for a while. I think when they would bring in guys who could do that thing, when sporadically Yoan Moncada did do that thing, or when Yasmani Grandal did do that thing of getting on base via the walk, it jumped out. It leapt off the screen, and that was just one guy, right? So if you could make it an organizational mandate to bring something that this White Sox team hasn't had, ever. You go back to even when they were successful in the mid-2000s, that was not their game, right? They were making contact, they were hitting the ball out of the ballpark. This is all part of the whole thing, right? Bringing this team into the modern baseball world. That's kind of what Chris Getz is trying to do, and that is that would be a very welcome thing for that organization.
And think about just what those at bats do. Not only helping the offense, it helps tire the opposing pitcher. It helps with your pitcher and your defense because you're not, as Vinny said, you're not back on the field just after you retired the team in the top of the inning. And now you just had 3 terrible at bats. Now you got to go right back out there. And now in the era of the pitch clock, your pitchers need even more refractory period to get their time, their stamina back. And so you working a pitcher helps your whole team out, and it helps you. We're just talking about, and I know Juan Soto's Juan Soto, but that whole at bat he had versus the Dodgers in the World Series where he's just fouling off pitches, fouling off sliders, and finally the pitcher gives in and throws Juan Soto a high fastball, and he absolutely murdered it. I'm sure that pitcher felt demoralized by that, just by, I can't get this guy out, now I got to come to him, and now he crushes the ball. I think those things will help team-wide, not just that batter for that at-bat.
Well, and again, the biggest thing on this is, how can you develop the talent that Chris Getz is ultimately going to try to acquire? I was talking to Big Dave over there. It's not really on Will Venable. He really has no expectations. Ryan Fuller, you can kind of say in the same way. Are you going to be getting Nicky Lopez's and Jacob Amaya's, or are you going to be getting like future Mookie Betts, right? It's all about taking those Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Hendersons and then getting them to the major leagues and making sure that talent, takes that rise. I don't know if there's one thing that he's like specifically looking for, Fuller is, in these hitters. Going through his Twitter, it just seems like he's a guy that really wants to figure out how to speak to an athlete. And the one thing that he quoted was the time Mookie Betts hit 3 homers in 2020, and he had a different swing for each single one of them. So it's not like, I don't think he's going to come in there and be like, all right, Luis Robert, this has to be your swing, right? He used hashtag problem solver, right? I think he wants Luis Robert Jr. to go up there and be able to just put fear into the pitcher and really, be able to control an at-bat at the plate.
And also, I know people are looking, it's like, well, he had the Orioles, so what, he's got this garbage clay that he has to mold into something good with the White Sox. But remember, it was Adley Rutschman, number 1, Bobby Witt, number 2, Andrew Vaughn, number 3. Now, has he developed like those other 2 guys? No, hell no. If you can get a guy that is adept at adapting and to developing talent that is at the top of the draft, which the White Sox will have, him, Coulson Montgomery, Jacob Gonzalez, et cetera, then you can have some successes, some wins. Like, when's the last sustained position player success coming from this minor league system? It's been a minute. Timmy,
how long is sustained? Tim Anderson
was sustained, but it's like it went away quickly.
Right.
And so if you can, I know that they had good stuff with the Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, et cetera, down the line. But the White Sox have those same players in their system right now that just haven't been developed. If this guy can be the director of hitting like Brian Bannister is the director of pitching, I think you can have some improvement. Maybe not at the top of the league like Adley Rutschman or Bobby Witt Jr., but if you want Andrew Vaughn just to be a above-average first baseman, that would be great.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. If Gavin Sheets and Andrew Vaughn could combine for an average first baseman, I think, again, we'd have a parade in the streets for White Sox baseball. Any more thoughts on Fuller? Talked about him for about 40 minutes here. guy we don't even know. Here we are talking about him for 40 minutes. A guy we do know is Skip Schumacher. According to Evan Grant, the Rangers have hired Skip Schumacher as a senior advisor to President of Baseball Operations Chris Young and are expected to finalize a deal with Schumacher's former bench coach with Miami's Luis Ureta to join the Rangers coaching staff in that role. So the replacement for Will Venable for the Rangers has been found, and then also Skip Schumacher joining the front office. Is this a sign that maybe Bruce Bochy could be around for a while, or at least maybe Skip Schumacher, is looking at a place where Bochy might leave? Like, this is a guy that, according from what I heard, he has a top prospect kid that's coming up and currently playing high school, and that's his goal is to now basically be like LeBron but not play with him. Be able to manage his son. Like, maybe that's Schumacher's next thing, is just to wait it out in the front office until he can be his coach's son.
I'm thinking more he wants to just reestablish his value, want to sit out this market, see what is available next year, and what better thing is to do, go with a previous champion and a 4-time World Series champion in Bruce Bochy, learning under him, and then reintroduce yourself to the market next year. I don't think he's looking to establish and take over when Bruce Bochy leaves. I think he wants his own job. Yeah, if Bruce Bochy leaves next year or the year after, I'm sure he'll be very happy to take that job. But I'm thinking he's just not interested in taking the job for the White Sox didn't ultimately take him, and so there was no other jobs available for him. So he's, hey, let me work in the Major League Baseball, and next year I can reestablish myself. Somebody will be fired, and maybe I'll be at the top of their list.
All right. Interesting to see how that played out, and we'll see how that develops for the Rangers, but we got the guy we wanted, so ha. All right, let's get
the Marlins haven't hired anybody, right?
No, I was going to bring that up. Craig Albernas ended up pulling out his name for consideration for the Marlins. That seemed to be kind of a match made in heaven there. Peter Bendix and Albernas worked together in the Rays organization. That has not come to fruition. So the White Sox ended up able to scoop Will Venable, and the Marlins still have an open position. So I don't know what they're doing at the GM meetings.
They were like pissed, like, damn it, they got our guy, and the White Sox beat him for him.
Let's go. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the Marlins, but this is not what would it be called? MIAM?
Miam?
Yeah, there's too many vowels in that. We really can't do
MIMI? Mimi?
Mimi?
Yeah.
Mimi. Mimi.
MIFL?
Mimi.
FL. Florida. Miami, Florida. MIFL.
Oh, MIFL.
Yeah. Move it along.
Okay. Let's get into the free agent showdown. I've cleared out a couple of people. I've gotten rid of Chris Flexen. I've gotten rid of Jacob Amaya. I've gotten rid of Michael A. Taylor. Gotten rid of Reese McGuire. And I've gotten rid of our guy Kyle Farmer. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a couple positions here to fill. Right now, the White Sox, with this 24-man roster, no, not even 24-man, 22-man roster is worth $57.7 million. Okay, so if we're going to say the max that we could spend is $85 million, let's go shopping. Let's go look at the free agents that are available. Sarah, can you show the first one? This is Willie Adams versus Hassan Kim. We're going to try to go around the positions. We did this yesterday with first base. Anthony Rizzo versus Carlos Santana. We're now going to shortstop. Willie Adams is 29 years old. He plays very well for the Milwaukee Brewers. He had 688 plate appearances in 2024, 32 homers, 119 weighted runs created plus, 173 strikeouts to 74 walks, and a 4.8 FWAR. Hassan Kim for the Padres in 2024, 470 plate appearances, 11 homers, a 101 weighted runs created plus, 77 strikeouts to 58 walks, and a 2.6 FWAR. According to MLB Trade Rumors, they think Adames is going to get 6 years, $160 million. They think Kim's going to get 1 year, $12 million. Is $12 million, or even with Adames getting the qualifying offer, is $21 million way too much to spend on a player if you really, 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 really want him? I mean, there is the room to spend $21 million if the cap is, $85 million, $100 million for this roster.
I see Willie Adams as being way, way out of the White Sox price range, but 1 year, $12 million seems like a little bit of a lower risk play, especially if you think you can get a guy like Kim to an all-star status where maybe you can, where he's been before, where you can get him traded in the middle of the season for something. But I would think that would be an Eric Fetty type move, right? Sign him to trade him, rather than it would be a bring him aboard and hope that he's part of the next good White Sox team. Adames, obviously, if a team like the White Sox was to make that signing, it would be with the express purpose of trying to make sure that he was here in 2-3 years, or when you assumed that things are going to be a lot better. But right now, I think that's way too expensive for what the White Sox are trying to do. We know they're trying to decrease salary a little bit. We know Chris Getz has already said they're not going to be playing at the top end of the free agent market. So if it's between those two, I'd say Kim, but I think they're probably even likely to look lower cost, lower down on the free agent market. But they do need a shortstop, because Coulson Montgomery might not be ready by opening day. Probably best for the player if they let him try to have some success at the AAA level before bringing him up to the major leagues. So they do need a shortstop, and likely one of the veteran variety to place hold or be somebody they can move at the deadline.
Real quick, if we go off MLB trade rumors, 160 for 6 is $27 million. If you add $27 million, you'd still have to fill 4 more roster spots, but that's at $85 million right there. I mean, you could probably fill in those 4 roster spots with, 800K guys and, be under 87 million. So I mean, maybe Adames?
No, because as Vinny said, he's 29. He's 6 years. You're not going to be good for 3. So he'll be 31, 32 before he's even good, or the White Sox are even good. And then playing on the other side of 30 for the last couple of years of his White Sox contract. So no, I'm good. Even though he's a great player, and I think he'll snatch that deal easily with some team because they'll be ready to play and ready to compete immediately. Now, for Hassan Kim, versatility, played shortstop, played second base with the San Diego Padres.
Played third.
Yeah, played some third when Manny Machado was out. I think the guy has a glove. He is plus glove. And you saw the average bat, and he can with a little pop, and especially when he was in Korea. So $12 million for me is where, is probably where he's going to be, but I think that's also a little rich for the White Sox blood there too. I think somewhere in the $5, $6, $7, $8 million range is where the White Sox would be looking at the highest point for any free agent they're going to be bringing in. And Hassan Kim, I'm sure he doesn't want to come to the White Sox for 1 year, 12. Yeah. Even though if that's the deal, I think if that's the only deal, he'll take it. But also, I don't think the White Sox would have interest in that.
I'm surprised other teams wouldn't play that or pay that either.
Oh,
I mean, like
easily.
that seems like a steal, especially for only 1 year. I mean, it seems like a Yankee or Met would easily sign Hassan Kim, a player that can play second base, shortstop, or third base for a 1 year, $12 million contract. It's up in a year. What's the issue? Like, I don't know. That seems very easy to do. So I think Kim and Adames will likely just be off the board. I'm with Vinny and Herb. They're not signing a $100 million contract, especially being as far away from contention as they are. Maybe we got 2 more years. Maybe 2027 we'll finally get a $100 million player. But I don't think that's now. And then with Kim, I think he's likely just going to get more than that projection, which I think will put the White Sox out of that. So let's go to the second option. If these guys are a little bit too pricey, let's shop in the budget bin. Let's go to the $5 here, right? Let's go get 40-Year-Old Virgin on DVD. Let's go get.
I have that on DVD.
As you should.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? What other movies would you find in a $5 budget bin? There's something about
American
Mary.
Pie 2.
There you go. American Pie 2. Beer Trip. No.
Shark Tales.
Shark Tale.
Road Trip is what you're thinking.
Road
of,
Trip.
yeah.
Thank you.
Or maybe Euro Trip.
Euro Trip.
Or maybe Beer Fest.
Or maybe Beer Fest. Vinny knows all of his Van Wilder.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers. There you go. Let's go to the second list here. In 2024, we have Kevin Newman and Amed Rosario. Newman, 311 plate appearances for the Diamondbacks, 3 home runs, 89 weighted runs created plus, 48 strikeouts to 15 walks, a 1.4 FWAR. And then Herb's favorite, Amed Rosario, 346 plate appearances, 3 home runs, 96 weighted runs created plus, 73 strikeouts to 9 walks, and a 0.3 FWAR.
73-9.
Yeah.
Bad.
73-9.
That's tough.
That's White Sox baseball for you. What do we make of Rosario and Newman? I think Newman kind of goes along with what Getz was doing or trying to do in 2023, a guy that could play solid defenses. Are we just going to get a boring Kevin Newman signing here?
That seems about right,
Okay.
doesn't it? I mean, that again, like I said earlier, I think Coulson Montgomery is going to be on this team next year and probably for a good portion of next season. But to start him there after the season he had at AAA, just let him turn what he did in the Arizona Fall League into something at AAA that he can hold on to, be happy with, give him some confidence, and move forward to the major league level with some accomplishment behind him. And so I think there's really no rush to put him on the team come opening day, even if he does do well in the Cactus League and during spring training. So I think you're going to need somebody to be kind of that bridge to Coulson Montgomery, and I think it would be a veteran like that. I think those guys are going to command very low contracts, so you might even get them on a minor league deal. Players like that, right? So you saw Chris Getz kind of use that playbook last year. Paul DeYoung, obviously Tommy Pham ended up being part of that. Martin Maldonado was a part of that. It was along with a few pitchers. But I think you're probably going to get a rerun of that kind of thing again this offseason. I think guys like that make a lot of sense. But I don't know if you want to bring in someone with a 73-9 strikeout to walk ratio.
Yeah, since I said that thing in 2022 where Amed Rosario had a better F4 and probably B-WAR than Tim Anderson that year, he has fallen off the table. Absolutely been traded everywhere in the mama, and he is not the same player that you remember from Cleveland. And so I don't want that guy. Yeah, if you're striking out 73 times and only walking 9, you better be hitting a bunch of home runs, which he is not. And his glove is not even that great. So you're not really getting anything from Amed Rosario, even though he's young. I think he's on this side of 30, on the correct side of 30. So I would say no on him. But Kevin Newman, it's not sexy, but it is what the White Sox would be wanting, a placeholder, a guy that is not going to go off and like, hey, there's 3 more years of Kevin Newman. No, you're here for your 3 to 4 months until Coulson's right or somebody else is right. And we appreciate you, Kevin Newman. Get your ass on somebody else's team. You've played all right for us. You played average defense, and you ran into a couple. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it just for the fact that we can just go, Newman.
Yeah, the Seinfeld jokes would be great. Yeah.
I mean, that part, I'm cool with.
Right. I'm already doing Vargas, so why not be able to do Newman also? Right.
There you go. And that one's a little bit more, in people's wheelhouse.
Right, exactly.
The Vargas is a little bit more niche. Newman shows up every episode.
Right,
Come
exactly.
on.
Yeah, Vargas just the one, yeah.
Mailman. Could you imagine still getting mail? Do you guys get mail?
Yes.
I get mail?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't get mail?
You guys get mail?
You don't check your mailbox?
Every
I
day.
don't think so. Every day you check your mail?
I mean, it's not good mail. It's just usually like...
Oh, yeah, you got to throw it all away right away.
Garbage.
Yeah, it's still mail, yeah.
It's just a waste of paper.
Yeah,
Cool.
out of 20 pieces of mail, probably one's good that you can actually open up and like, oh, I need this.
Yeah, I just got my, vision and dental insurance card shipped from CHGO.
Is that where that is?
Yeah, it gets mailed to us.
Right. Check your mailbox there, Sean.
Yeah, I think Newman makes the most sense. But Newman also, I mean, he really became this player, this type of defender this year. This is the second time that he's posted a positive fielding run value. The other time was 2021 when he posted a 2. This year was a 5. The previous year was a -3. So I wonder if he is that type of fielder or if that was just a good year with Arizona. There are 2 guys that I didn't even put on this list. I could have made a 3rd list, but I think that would have bored people. I think the 2 top names that are likely going to be the opening day shortstop for the White Sox in 2025, former Minnesota Twin legend Kyle Farmer, who 13 fielding run value in his career, 4 last year, 2 the previous year, -1 the year before, but then 4 in 2021. He's a guy that can play first base, he can play second base, third base, or shortstop. He can even catch, so you don't even need Danny Mendick anymore.
He can take a pitch to the face.
He can take a pitch to the face. Not the greatest hitter, but again, he's going to be cheap, and that's really the only thing that matters. And then I'll throw this out one just because I love to be a little pest. Paul DeYoung. Paul DeYoung worked out for them in 2023.
Hit a lot of home runs?
I don't know if anyone's going to be clamoring for Paul DeYoung.
He worked out for them in 2024.
Oh, 2024. Yeah. I don't know if the Royals are going to be clamoring to bring back Paul DeYoung for their 2025 team, so why not just run the Paul DeYoung thing back because he hit 18 homers?
I mean, what I would say, too, is that look for those guys who have the potential to do that kind of thing, right? I mean, yes, it is about being budget conscious, obviously, with the White Sox right now, but it's also about doing what we've been talking about with guys like Bannister and Fuller and finding someone who might rediscover some old magic and be able to be turned into something at the trade deadline. As unexciting for White Sox fans as what Chris Getz did at the trade deadline was, he did turn Tommy Pham, a minor league deal for Tommy Pham, into something. He did turn a $1 million deal for Paul DeYoung into something. There is a player that you can point to and say, hey, that guy is in the organization because of the guy that they traded. So I think that you're going to see that kind of thing where it's like, oh, maybe there's a guy who 4 years ago had a really good year in the home run department, or had a really good year playing Gold Glove caliber defense or something like that. If they can come here and just, rediscover a little bit of that, we can turn them into something at the deadline. That's what I think you need to look for when you're poring over these free agent lists, not just who is the cheapest, even though that will play a part in it. But I think there's the idea of who can be okay for the White Sox next season, but also who can they turn into something for the years beyond.
I think there's two guys that I would love for the White Sox to go and explore as their shortstop, and one of them is Kike Hernandez, LA Dodgers. He's had a great World Series, had a great postseason. A little long in the tooth, but my other guy is a little long in the tooth too, and Jose Iglesias, which I've been wanting for years on years on years. The oh my God, we could just have Yoan Moncada, but in the middle infield instead.
They had that already, and he made a million errors.
Who?
Yoan Moncada.
Oh,
when
yeah.
He played second base.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but a better song, though. Oh, my God is a better song than Disaster Personnel.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing there. I mean, it's like the harassment versus flirting meme. It's Jose Iglesias' oh, my God is flirting, and then Yoan Moncada's Disaster Personnel is the harassment. I don't get it. Maybe it's because Yoan Moncada hasn't made it in the league, and Jose Iglesias is 35 and put in all his work. Weird how, one gets accepted, but one doesn't.
Jose Iglesias
Jose
Iglesias was part of a trade that the White Sox made.
Yeah, Avisail Garcia.
The Avi trade.
Really?
They sent PV to Boston. They got Avi from Detroit, and Boston sent Iglesias to Detroit.
That's funny.
Mickey Jr.
Jose Iglesias or
Avi?
Hey, don't worry. When we go
out
to
for
the
year, out for the year, I believe, right?
For
Still?
2024,
Avi.
is he going to miss all of 2025?
I thought I
too?
saw something about that.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
I was-
I'm just shouting random stuff.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up though, and for right field when we get to there, Avi Garcia, funny enough, will be on there. I know he was DFA'd. I don't know.
I believe he's hurt.
I'll try to check in there. He was injured. Yeah, he was designated for assignment in June,
By the Marlins.
but I don't know. Hey, I mean, we keep bringing up Jose Abreu. Apparently, is down in the Cuban League, and he had some scouts watching him. 37-year-old.
I know he said about coaches, but they said familiar faces around here.
Yeah, right. I mean, come on.
There we go. I will clarify. Not out for the year, but he did just have back surgery
Ooh, a bacchiotomy.
to address a fracture and disc issue in his lower back.
That's no good.
That
No.
sounds tough.
No.
Yeah.
And just to fully give that report, Francisco Romero saying Jose Abreu reported to the San Juan Senadores in Puerto Rico's Winter Baseball and had his first exhibition game yesterday. At least 3 MLB teams and Kenny Williams were monitoring the 37-year-old Cuban free agent and first baseman. So we'll see if there's any reunion between Tim, Avi, or Jose. If you had to pick one of the three, who is most likely to reunite with the White Sox in 2024?
Ooh,
I think Abreu, right, by default, because he's healthy or as healthy as or healthier than the other two.
And his career didn't end poorly here with the White Sox either.
Right.
The real answer, it's none of the above. It's Yasmani Grandal.
Ugh.
That is not true.
Okay.
It's still
All
Abreu.
right, great. That's going to wrap up the CHGO White Sox podcast. Hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you also are sticking tuned. At 5:30, we have a Bull show, and tomorrow there's another great day of CHGO content. You can read Vinnie Duber's work at allchgo.com. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We're very appreciative of our pal Sarah for producing the show. Again, hit that thumbs up button. And if you do want to join our growing community of die-hard Chicago fans, we're building the biggest and best community of Chicago sports fans, and we want you to be a part of it. You can join to become a diehard today. You get a shirt of your choice. You get access to our exclusive content. You get plenty of discounts and access to our CHGO Discord lounge where you get to hang out and talk all Chicago sports with us, whether it's White Sox, Cubs, Blackhawks, Bulls, or Bears. You get to chat with diehard fans like yourself. So go head over to allchgo.com/diehard to sign up today. A lot of great content over there from our guys like Vinnie Duber, Will Gottlieb, Jay Zawoski. I guess they all write. Jay, Mario,
all the Hawks
Greg.
guys.
You get
They're prolific.
Adam Hogue's things. Are they prolific?
The Hawks guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They do a great
I
job.
didn't know they were prolific. I mean, I know they're prolific in my life, but I didn't know they were just prolific.
Yeah.
But yeah, a ton of great content up at allchgo.com. Thank you for watching. And again, we'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. to wrap up what Chris Getz had to say to Daryl Van Schouwen and Lamont Pope today in San Antonio for the general manager meetings. I think I still have to drag this out a little bit. Is that true, or can we wrap it up?
Well, I will say this. Cole Kmet did his show today, the 85. So if everyone wants to check out more Bears content, the Bears, you can head over there. Yeah,
and if you're looking for trade deadline stuff, the Bears crew did that at 3 o'clock today, a live remote show. So if you're looking for Khalil Herbert traded for a 7th round pick reaction, go check out Carm, Hogue, and the gang over at the CHGO Bears content podcast. All right, that's going to do it. That's Vinny. That's Herb. I'm Sean Anderson. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.